Mina, like, doing it in the shower here or whatever secretly. So then she hears, like, for a really long time, it feels like a few minutes, a shower running, but she knows everybody's outside, so she's super sketched out, and she's walking to all the showers in this big cabin and stuff, and none of the showers are on. And she finally goes upstairs to the room, and she sees, like, the sex tape of Mina and her boyfriend Charlie. So of course she's super upset and making herself sick and stuff, and you know, by this time everybody that's outside is on their way to go inside the house, and she just takes the car and is gonna leave them all stranded there, which is kind of fucked up, because it's like, what did Josh do in this situation? As far as to be stranded, it's fucked up. But so she leaves. And then she stops to talk to Charlie, who is Dan Stevens' character, her boyfriend, and he's like, "What's going on? Why are you acting like this?" And she's like, "I saw you and Mina." And then he immediately starts apologizing and stuff, and then he's like, "Wait a minute. Where first things first, where did you see this, the footage? Where's the footage at?" And she was just like, "Who are you?" You know, like, what, that's gonna be your follow-up to a "I'm sorry"? So, you know, of course Michelle is super offended, and she leaves. And then as she gets down into the more of the forest trail area, there's this, like, spike strip that, of course, it's super dark. She doesn't see. She runs over it and slams into a tree. She gets out and she realizes that somebody has put this there to sabotage her tires. So then she's, you know, immediately starts to text her boyfriend Charlie to basically say, "I'm freaking out. Come and help me." And you know, and then he immediately gets it, and he comes running down. But at this point, we see, like, our villain, our killer, charge her car. You know, so we're led to believe that she's at least been attacked. We don't know if she's alive. And then so Charlie is not, you know, she didn't get too far, so he's able to run on foot pretty fast and get to her car. And she's nowhere to be found. He calls her cell phone, and then he sees the light off in the distance, which is pretty spooky imagery. And then as he walks towards her, our killer just he looks down. Charlie looks down and sees Michelle's body, which looks like she's been bludgeoned in the eye or something with the hammer or something. That's what it looked like. And then immediately he looks up and sees the killer, and is, like, hit in the head so quick before, like, he had no time to react in that situation. And I was super shocked that they killed Dan Stevens that way, considering that he's in The Guest, you know what I mean? And I feel like he's usually not a victim in that way, so it was kind of fresh and fun to see him, you know, be like not like one of the final people to or not the survivor, you know what I mean?
And, like, super fast too. No, I totally know what you mean, like, but like super fast too. Like, it just, like, see you later, you're gone, and then he just moves on to the next guy.
And not only, so he hits him once and he knocks down, and I'm sure Charlie knocks down, and I'm sure he probably was still alive. And then the killer walks over and fucking just like buries his hammer into his head again, where you're like, okay, now he's fucking dead. Like, he's dead. He sealed the deal there. So the killer starts texting all this stuff to Josh, who's Mina's boyfriend, and I think he actually sends Josh, like, the sex tape as well. And so, of course, Josh, being a hothead, he freaks out, and he thinks that because it's from Charlie's phone, who is his brother, from his brother's phone, he thinks that his brother's fucking with them on purpose. So he's like, you're going to do all this and you're going to hide, you know what I mean? And so he checks for Charlie in this closet, and keep in mind this is back in the cabin. And the killer's like in the closet and just fucking wails on him, hits him in the face. And then Mina comes down the spiral staircase and sees what's happening and runs up and hides. And then Josh kind of grabs the killer's leg to slow him down, and which was a big mistake, I think. You should have pretended to be dead, and then, you know, created a better plan later. That would have been cool. But of course, that's not how it plays out. So the killer turns around and just fucking, he turns the hammer around to the lethal side, the more lethal side, I should say, and just buries it in Josh's head. And this is one of the few times that it doesn't cut away from the gore, so we actually see Josh get impaled. So our killer goes upstairs looking for Mina, who is our last remaining survivor in this scenario. And she's smart enough she throws her shoe down by the the hot tub. So he thinks she jumped down to the bottom story. So the killer immediately runs downstairs to investigate and see where she's gone. Meanwhile, she was hiding under some blankets, I think, in the living room upstairs. And this is where she has a lapse in judgment, because he couldn't have gone very far. And so she goes downstairs way too fast with this cabin that has way too many glass doors everywhere. And she immediately just walks outside as if he's not probably lurking around that area still. So then, of course, there's one of the few jump scares there. He comes around the corner and grabs her, and she does have a weapon. I think it's a screwdriver or something, it looks like, that she grabbed, and she stabs this dude in the face. And we didn't talk about how this guy has one of those like super like sweet immortal masks, where it's like this mask that molds to your face so it looks like it's your face, like a
the mask is fucking rad.
Yeah that mask is
horrifying.
Yeah, it's just like this old man-ish looking mask. It's fucking, oh man, the last thing you see is that's crazy. But yeah, so Mina, she gets attacked by the killer outside the cabin, and she stabs him in the cheek with some kind of weapon, and he throws her down the deck of stairs, and she looks up, and I think she's kind of hurt her ankle or something, and then he just pulls out the tool that she had stabbed him with like nothing, and pursues after her. So she goes running into the forest blindly, which we know doesn't work out for her. You know, there's rolling fog, and she has no sense of direction, but it's beautifully shot though, and so she doesn't know that she's running towards the cliff's edge. She's going out towards the ocean. So as he's chasing her, and the fog is so thick, she can't see, and I guess she's running so fast that she ends up falling off the side of the cliff. She has no chance to react. So when the killer gets to the cliff to look down, the curious thing is that we don't see a body, right?
Yeah.
They never show you a body, so it's left up to our interpretation whether she survived or she died. Who knows? Maybe that was left open for. I know there is a potential for a sequel.
I'm pretty sure that's why it was left like that. Because you just see like the rocks, right? And that's it.
Yeah, and the water kind of brushing up, but you don't ever see a body the way that you saw Taylor's, I guess. So it was kind of like, well, that's crazy. But I remember when probably the way that you felt because you just watched it earlier. But when I first watched this, that was shocking to me because you're just like, you're not expecting everyone to die. I know it's happened sometimes, but I just wasn't expecting it to go that route. But it was just like, I was like, damn, that really caught me off guard because she falls and it's so fast. You know what I mean? You're like, damn. You know, and then this guy, the killer, it's like sunrise, and you know, he just goes around and collects all the evidence and throws it all in Taylor's truck. To me, that made me think that he had the, you know, this idea to frame Taylor to make it look like they all killed each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he threw the spike strip in the back of Taylor's truck. He threw the bloody hammer in his tool bed. So everything that was used in that night is now in Taylor's truck. And he didn't clean up the bodies. He didn't do any of this. So he wants it to be found. You know what I mean? So then the police are going to come and be like, oh, there was some kind of domestic dispute or whatever with the homeowner, and just blame it all on that, which is crazy. The credits are pretty wild, and it kind of opens up the fact that this guy is not done with this kind of behavior.
I fucking love the credits, like the way it's done, and it's just the footage of people in their fucking rentals. Yeah, and then at first I hadn't even noticed that the credits were like at the top of the screen because I was paying attention to what was going on. But about the ending, that last shot of him kind of staring into the sunset right before the dog comes in is fucking like one of the best shots because you don't see him at all. You just kind of see his shape, I guess.
Yeah, because he's just like glaring, like soaking in what is everything that just happened. And then he goes around and he takes off all the cameras, all the bugs. You see that throughout the film they're looking for a router that's, you know, acting as a server for the cameras in the shower, and they're not able to find it. Turns out he had it hidden in one of the ceiling panels, which we're showing later. And then, you know, Reggie, the innocent puppy, comes back out who was fine the entire time.
The dog indeed does not die.
Yeah, that's already a win. But yeah, I think I did read that there's a potential for a part 2 if he gets the green light to do it, and I hope he does, because I feel like there's some potential for a couple of these if they're done correctly. You know what I mean? It reminds me of the way that the villain is kind of has no real identity. It felt like the Collector to me, you know, in that aspect. Oh, yeah. In a way where it's like it works for it, you know what I mean? And it I don't know, it's kind of iconic. I felt like with this project, the rental, they created this kind of even though he's only in it for a short real amount of time, it's like an iconic character, you know what I mean, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Like you said, even though it's super, like his screen time is nothing basically, you're still with the actor and the way he portrayed the character and the mask and everything. Like, it's fucking scary as shit.
Yeah, because then, you know what I mean? Like, you know that a movie's done its job when you're thinking about it. So after so much time has passed, you go back and, you know what I mean? And even when I recently stayed in an Airbnb in Temecula, and I couldn't stop thinking about everything that happened in this goddamn movie. And it's so, you know what I mean? Because it's so grounded and real, and you're like, wow, this could really happen right now, and what would I be able to do? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's almost so too close to home that you're like, I don't know if I like this that much. That it's